In this chapter, we're gonna cover everything you need to know about Lumishine Demi-Permanent Liquids. So don't forget, one of your best resources for this is gonna be your Lumishine swatch book. Inside, again, on this front panel, you're gonna find all the information that you need as far as mixing, processing times, and then on the back section, this is where you're gonna find all of the different shades for our Lumishine Demi-Permanent Liquids. Now we're gonna start right here with the first one, which is, again, the one that's gonna be the most balanced, and that's our natural series. So this is a perfect one to go to if you have your client that you don't wanna take them too much in one direction or the other, right? So you've just done some highlights, but they want them to seem very soft and natural. So that's where I'd maybe go with like a 10N, or even combine the 8 and the 10N together to complement the color that they already have and keep them nice and balanced. Now, for those clients that you do need to cool off, then we're gonna go over here. We have our natural ash series. So with the NAs, again, we talked about it a little bit when we were talking about our permanent colors, how the green isn't so overpowering in the ash. Because of that natural base, it's perfectly balanced. So you're gonna be able to cut the warmth without having to worry about it pulling too green. So now we're gonna get into a couple of my favorite ones. The NWB series, our natural warm beige. So this is definitely a go-to for me in the salon. This is actually the series that I use the most. Again, I live in Florida, so I'm constantly having to battle too much warmth. So that's why I like to use the natural warm beige, because if you notice that last letter right here, that B, that beige, I talked about it a little bit in the permanent color series. In here, it's the same applies. That beige just really helps to balance out and control that color. So that way, when I'm using it as a toner or as a filler, it really helps to just blend those colors in to where it's a more seamless blend for me. And then also in this category, it sits slightly warmer, is our natural warm series. Now with the natural warm series, again, very similar to the natural warm beige, except for this one doesn't have that beige undertone. So you're gonna provide more of a nude palette. Again, we referenced it in our permanent color series, and the same applies here with our demi-permanent liquids as well. So let's go to our NGs, our natural golds. The natural gold is a great go-to for that client that really needs to embrace the warmth in their hair. Not everyone is meant to have a cool tone. When you look at your client's skin tone, when you look at their eyes, check the color in there and check the color on their skin, and see that maybe that cool tone is really gonna wash them out. That's where you need to warm them up and enrich that a little bit more. So that's where the NG, the natural gold, is gonna be a perfect go-to for that kind of a situation. So as we continue to warm it up, we're gonna go into our natural copper series. Now the natural copper series for me is probably the most versatile of all the different colors within our Lumishine Demi-Liquid palette. And the reason for that is because you can use it for so many different things. Let's say you're trying to enhance someone who has natural red hair. Then you can go with something like an 8NC or a 10NC if they're on the lighter side, and that's really just gonna bump up that color and make it a little bit more vibrant, add a lot of shine into the hair. But let's say you have a blonde that's ready to go back down to her natural tone and deepen it back down. Well, then that's where something like a 7NC or a 6NC is gonna be a perfect go-to. That natural copper in the 7 and the 6 is gonna provide the warmth that you need to fill the hair back in, and then you can still redeposit over the top so that you can have a perfectly balanced brunette. And then my go-to, this is my favorite as far as blonde toning, is our natural violet series. So that 9NV is actually the one that I use probably 90% of the time when I tone my blondes, because anytime that we're doing highlights, you know that when you're getting into those lighter levels, they're gonna start pooling a little bit more yellow, because as you get towards a level 9, level 10, the underlying pigment is more in that yellow side. So the natural violet, what's great about this one is it allows that natural to balance out and give you a little bit more control, versus if you went straight on with, like, let's say a violet, which we'll get to here later, which can be a little too strong sometimes and maybe push them more into a lavender. So for me, I love to use the natural violet, and then even if you see down here, we go from a 9 to a 6, you'll see that it actually deepens quite a bit. So anytime that we're adding more pigment and going a little bit darker, you're gonna see more of that violet show through. So if you look at the 6NV, which is our 6 natural violet, and the 1NV, the 1 natural violet, you're gonna notice them getting significantly darker. So that's because we're adding more pigment into that color. Let's talk a little bit about our vibrant, intense powerhouse reds. As a colorist, one of the things that we know is that reds fade entirely too fast. You hear it from your clients, you see it in the chair. That's why we have our Lumishine Powerhouse Reds featuring our J5 Fade Resistant Complex. So what is the J5 Fade Resistant Complex? Well, it's comprised of two parts. The first is the P5 dye. The P5 dye is a specific red dye that anchors deep into the hair and provides that brilliant, long-lasting result. Now, it's also going to protect against UVA and UVB aggressors. The second part is moringa seed oil and lotus flower. This is all about preventing fading by protecting against environmental and UV aggressors. So let's cool it off now and talk about our violets and our silver blues. These are gonna be fantastic anytime that you're trying to cut through some of that warmth. So for those blondes that are sitting a little too yellow, this is where you wanna grab that violet versus the natural violet. So I talked about the natural violet before and how beautiful it balances out the color, but in some cases, that's not enough. And when those situations arise, that's where you wanna grab your violet series, because the violet series is gonna provide that extra pigment that's really gonna help to cancel out and balance out that yellow tone and cool it off in a way that the natural violet won't be able to. Now, the silver blue, let's say you have a client that comes in and brings in that picture of silver that we've all seen on the internet or on Pinterest, the impossible color that's most likely a wig. For silver hair, I mean, for me, there's no better color to use than our silver blue series. What's great about it is it's gonna help to cut through, again, the warmth, but for those clients that want more of a fashion finish, right? If you wanna achieve that silver look, then we have it in one bottle. So versus having to try to figure out and formulate all these crazy things to get the perfect color, just go straight to our SBs. The SB is perfect because it provides that silver and that blue that's gonna help to really deposit more of that silver tone. And it even works great for the darker tones if you want a cooler brown or a cooler brunette. And in some cases, you want that nice like blue-black, then the 1BS is gonna be perfect for that as well. So you're gonna notice a difference within the same shade family. In our permanents, we have the blue ash series, the BAs, and then in our demi series, we have the SB, the silver blue series. Now the reason for the difference is because when we're using our permanent cream color, we're gonna be lifting against natural color. So you need that blue leading the way. So that's gonna help to cut the warmth. Versus when we're using our demi series, then you're gonna actually be depositing. So that silver is gonna be your lead, and that's gonna help to deposit a cooler tone without being too aggressive with the blue. So if you noticed, we do have two different categories when it comes to our demi-permanents. There's a cream base and there's a liquid base. Now, why would you choose one versus the other? Let's say we're doing low lights. And a low light, I'm gonna want something that's gonna be a little bit more opaque. I need a little bit more deposit. So for that, I'm gonna go with a cream color versus the liquid because the liquid tends to be a little more sheer. So for that factor alone, you want something that's gonna be more translucent. That's where you want that toning, glossing, glazing. The liquid's gonna be the better choice for you versus the cream. Both will give you tremendous shine, but it's really gonna be the colorist's preference. So let's keep talking about the liquids. Now, application with them is as easy as it could be. You're literally just mixing it into a bottle or a bowl, so you have your choice of what tool you wanna use for which service you're trying to accomplish. Now for me, if I'm working in a bowl, I like to use the bottle, but if I'm working in my chair, I prefer to use a bowl and a brush. Everyone's gonna be a little bit different, and it really just depends on your result of what you're trying to achieve as to which tool you're gonna use to accomplish the final result. Something else you're gonna like about it is the viscosity. It's a little creamier, it's a little thicker, so you don't have to worry about it running down your client's face, yet it glides through the hair for ease of application. Now you might be wondering about gray coverage. Our Demi-Permanent Liquid is not gonna be your best choice for that. It's more of a sheer translucent formula, so you're not gonna get the deposit that you need in order to cover that gray. It will blend, but it's not gonna cover. For that, we have a different category of color, which is our demi-permanent creams. And I'm gonna talk a little bit more about that in the demi-permanent cream chapter. So why do we use a demi-permanent liquid? Well, at Joico, we are the healthy hair company, and we have a firm philosophy and not pulling permanent color through the ends of the hair to refresh a color. And the reason for that is because you're gonna open up the cuticle unnecessarily, whereas we just wanna deposit color and add shine. So why not go with a liquid demi that's gonna make that job a lot easier and a lot faster? Permanent hair color was designed for gray coverage or for lifting natural virgin hair. Now, if you're one of those colorists that's still using permanent color through the mids to ends, I guarantee that if you switch over to a demi-permanent liquid, you and your client are gonna see a significant difference in the shine and health of their hair. Let's talk formulas. Who doesn't love a perfect icy platinum blonde? For me, my favorite formula is gonna be 9V in clear. Now, the reason that I use clear is because obviously when we get into those lighter levels, you're talking to level 9, level 10, the hair is gonna be much more porous because you've opened it up quite a bit to get it that light. So I love to use the clear to really help me with my control when I'm working with that kind of porosity in the hair. Another one of my favorite formulas is the rose gold formula. Rose gold is such a trending color right now that I think it's really important for everyone to at least have something that they can use for that. And I like to mix that equal parts of the 8 red red and the 8 NW natural warm. A little pro tip for you, if you need to do a root smudge or a shadow root, which we all know are very popular right now, then the liquid demi is going to be your best asset for that. And my favorite formula is to combine the 8N and the 6N to create a 7N equal parts.